What's up, guys? It's Missy. I'm back with another SimCity Build It video, and today I'm going to explain production charts and production plans. Now, I've been playing the game for almost 5 years, and I will tell you one thing, okay? I know a lot of the frequently asked questions, and that's kind of what we're going to talk about today is money and why people make the items that they make. Okay, so here's the thing. I didn't really know what to label this video because you'll see why in a sec. If you have not already, please hit that like and subscribe button. Comment below if you have any questions, feedback, or video requests. All right. I've discussed this briefly in some of my other videos. And basically what I mean is when you guys ask, what items should I make to turn the highest profit? You know, make the most money, earn the most coins, not be broke, things like that, okay? People will search YouTube, they'll search Google and type in things like SimCity Build It, what to make, how to earn coins, max money, you know, all that shit. And what ends up happening is everybody, first off, based on your city level, is going to depend on what items you have unlocked. Based on your shops and your upgrades is going to determine how quickly you can make these items. Because you have level 1, 2, and 3-star shops. Each and every one of those goes up in a time discount. Okay? So, here's the thing that makes it very, very difficult. When somebody asks, what items should I make to make the most money? Well, that honestly, first off, it's part preference, okay? Now, what I mean by this is numbers don't lie, okay? You either make this much money doing X or you make this much money doing B, right? But the issue is that you can make more money if you were to purchase the materials, some of the materials required, versus producing them. And that's where the variables start to make the game change. So let's say that I was to make a chart for the game, and most of you have probably seen these types of charts, and I'm going to pull up just a random one, so we'll just go with the SimCity Planning Guide. So in this instance, this person went through and they went and made a chart, and what they did was the total number of time that went into that item from start to finish. What that means is the total mats. And when you hear the word mats, that means materials. When you hear the raw materials, that means the starting point, like your factory items. So, for example, if a nail, as you can see on my screen, if it sells for $80 for one nail, right? And you need 2 metal to make it, which when it's a factory item, you can make 55, 60, 30, however many factory slots you have. You can make them all at once. So you don't have to count up the separate metal. You know what I mean? You can make 2 metal in 1 minute. You don't have to make 1 metal 1 minute and the next metal the next. So that's going to play a huge role when trying to consider what items to make. So as he puts here, raw M, that's the raw materials for your factories, he put 1 minute. The total assembly time is 5 minutes, okay? Now, I'm assuming he's doing a basic shop. Then he says, so the assembly time of making the nail plus the raw material time is 6 minutes. Now, on my game, I do a nail every 4 minutes. So let's just say I was, because this is a 3-star shop and that's what our guide is on. Let's say that I was to do a nail every 4 minutes, okay? And I was to sell that nail for $80. So I would take the total number that I sold it for. So I sold the nail for $80. And I'm going to divide it by the total number of time that went into the item. So if it takes me 4 minutes to make a nail and it takes me 1 minute to make metal, that's a total of 5 minutes. Okay, so I'm going to take $80 and I'm going to divide it by 5 for 5 minutes. And I'm going to get 16. So if I was to take, and double check my answer, if I was to take $16 and multiply it by, 5 minutes, I'm going to get 80 bucks. Okay? That's how you find your per minute value. Now, that is for the total time required. Okay? So when you see these charts, what ends up happening is his, for whatever reason, is $13.33 a minute. Let's see what he did here. So he says his take a total of 6 minutes. So 80 divided by 6 minutes total is $13.33 per minute, right? Now, if you look at the next one down, it says metal. Sells for $10. You make it in 1 minute, and it's done in 1 minute. Therefore, it goes for $10 every 1 minute. Very simple, right? Okay, so nails actually produce a higher per minute value than metal. So whenever these smart-ass people come in and you say, what item produces the highest profit per minute? Everybody always says metal. Well, if you want to be a smart-ass, it's actually not metal, it is nails. Okay, I'm pretty sure that's the highest. Now, here's what ends up happening. People say, okay, cool. So I'm just going to go down and I'm going to look at the per minute value. And whatever has the highest per minute value, that's the item I'm going to make because it makes that much money per minute, right? The reason that you cannot do that is not accurate at all. And the reason for that is because of the materials required and where they come from. So, for instance, something can have a higher per minute value, but turn a lower profit, if that makes sense. So let's look at, okay, so if we were to look at this guide, what he had done is he went with the highest to the lowest. That's how he has this organized. He doesn't have it organized per shop. Okay, so that's the first problem. When you're looking at your game, you're looking at your shops and you're saying, okay, if I have, let's say you are a max level person. So you have every item unlocked, you have all your shops at 3 stars. Okay, you're going to go with each and every shop and you're going to look at the items in those shops. And you're going to, essentially what you want to do to make the most money is you want to run every single shop full time. However, sometimes that's not plausible. Okay, so what we mean by a realistic gameplay is you don't necessarily have to make all of the materials yourself to make the item profitable, but you need to be realistic about the materials you purchase. So if, for instance, I was to make up a plan, if somebody says, hey, what items do I make, right? In each and every shop, that's essentially the answer you guys are looking for. When you ask what items to make to turn the highest profit, you expect that answer. You expect to be told, you're going to go to your barn, you're going to make this and this. That's what you expect to be told. You don't expect to be handed a graph or a chart that throws numbers at you and says, well, this is the per minute value. Because that really doesn't mean a whole lot, especially when you can only make certain items in certain shops and there's so many variables to consider. There's the total time of the materials, there's the purchased versus the produced. Okay, so something might be more profitable than something else based off materials that you purchase versus make. That being said, a lot of people have this misconception that if an item sells for the most money, it turns the highest profit. So that's why you see a lot of burgers on the global market, when that is actually not the case. Now, if we were to go and look at this, essentially what we would be doing, if we were to follow that philosophy or whatever, is we would be looking at this and saying, okay, let's go with the highest per minute value per item. And we'll just go down and we'll just write, let's say we write down the top 2 for each and every shop. So according to him, okay, you're going to do nails, then chairs, tables, burgers, ice cream, lemonade, smoothies, gnomes, pizza. Now, a lot of these up top are actually fairly accurate. Okay, so here's the thing. It says that, let's see, burgers. This is not true. Okay, this is not a good item to make because here's the deal. When you make this item, you lose money elsewhere. So it might be the highest, it might pay more per minute to make that specific item than this specific item, but it's more or less what you're losing out on. So, for example, a lot of people have a debate over donuts versus smoothies. That seems to be the biggest debate, is which one should you make? Should you make the flour and donuts, or should you make smoothies and melons and veggies? Because you need that to make a smoothie. So mathematically, if we were to break it down like this, what it would look like is this. If you were to take, and our production plan, I'm kind of showing you guys why we chose to do what we did. We tell you guys to make donuts all day and all night, and then we tell you to make flour. For you level 18 players, we tell you to make flour all day and night. And there's a reason for that as well. But for you higher level players, we tell you to make 6 melons at night. Okay? And there's a reason why we don't tell level 18 players to make melons at night. And I'm going to get to that reason here in a minute. Now, hypothetically speaking, let's say that we wanted to make smoothies over donuts because they turn a higher profit. Realistically, we can't produce very many melons to make those smoothies. So what ends up happening is this. If you do a 16-hour day, which is 960 minutes total, because you're doing an 8-hour sleep, okay? So let's just say you're doing a 16-hour day in your barn. You're going to be able to run a total of 11 melons, and that's going to total you out to be 792 minutes, because you have to save some time in your 960-minute day to make veggies, okay? So if you were to make 10 veggies, because you have 11 melons, and you need equal amounts, because 11 goes a little over, so you end up with 10. So if you made 10 veggies at 16 minutes apiece, that's 160 minutes, okay? Plus the 792 on the melons. That's going to total you out to be 952 minutes. So you're going to have 8 minutes remaining out of your 960-minute 16-hour period, which you can just roll that 8 minutes over for your bedtime, right? So essentially what you're doing is you're going to be running your barn for a total of 972 minutes. Or wait, 952. Okay? Now, what you're going to do is you're going to end up cashing out on the barn. You're going to end up with 10 times 11 times melons, 10 times veggies. Okay? Now, if you were to go and look up the materials that it takes to make one smoothie, okay, you need 1 melon and 1 veggie per smoothie, which means if you have a total of 11 melons and you only have 10 veggies, that means that you're short a veggie. Obviously, you would probably make the other one, but for the purpose of this, we're sticking to this, okay? So you can make 10 smoothies. Now, you can sell that smoothie for $1,150. Multiplied by 10 is $11,500, is what you're going to end up cashing out. Now, a smoothie only takes 24 minutes, and you're making 10 of them, so you're running your donut shop for 240 minutes. Now, here's the issue. In the donut shop, these are the items available to you. Donut, cake, smoothies, roll, coffee, yogurt. Yogurt is a terrible profit. Coffee is terrible as well. Rolls are also bad. So the only other option you would have is donuts. Well, in this case, how are you going to get the flour? Because you're running your barn all day. You don't have a way to make other materials in your barn. So you would have to go to the global market and be able to purchase materials. So essentially, you're only able to run your donut shop for that 40 minutes. So the only thing that you can guarantee at the end of the day by doing what you're doing, if you were to pick smoothies, is you're guaranteeing for your 16-hour day that you're going to end with $11,500. That's what you cash out. Now, if you were to go and make donuts, okay, this is where shit's going to change. If you go and make a bag of flour, now, hold on. First things, the melons, if you were to do what they did here in this specific guide, you would have to add up the total number. The reason that they turn a lower profit isn't just the total number here. So if you were to run donuts if you're running flour in your barn for 960 minutes, okay? So you're going to take 960 and divide it by 24 minutes for the flour. That's 40 flour at 960 minutes. Now you can make one donut every 36 minutes. And if you're doing 960 divided by 36, you get, so 960 minutes divided by 36 minutes, you get 26.66. So technically what this is it's 27 donuts every 972 minutes, okay? So let's just say 26. No, fuck it, we'll round it up, we'll do 27. And we'll do it for 972. Okay, now there's another way you can do this. You can add up all the materials and say, okay, it takes 180 minutes for the textiles, takes 20 minutes for the seeds, takes 24 minutes for the bag of flour, and it takes 240 minutes for the sugar, and then 36 minutes for the donut. Okay, that's going to total you out to be 500 minutes per one donut. So if you were to do the per minute value, it would be $1.90 per minute that you would be making. But here's the thing. The $1.90 per minute is the total time it takes to make. So you're ending up with more donuts than that throughout the day because you're making raw materials in your factories, right? So let's say that you were to purchase the sugar. You get 240 minutes would be shaved off from that per minute value, which would bring you to 260 minutes total for one donut, which if you were to divide that by the $950 you can sell the donut for, you would get a total of $3.65 per minute. So if you were to say, okay, at $3.65 a minute and multiply that by the 36 minutes it takes to make a donut, you would end up with, no, that's not what I'm trying to do. Hold on a sec. Okay, so here, look, here's the deal. At the end of 972 minutes on donuts, you end up with 27 donuts at the end of the day. Now, let's say that we were to just do the 26 donuts and multiply it by the 950 we can sell them for. We get a total of 24,700, which is already double what we're making on the smoothies, okay? But yes, we're running our donut shop double time, but we're not able to run our smoothie shop all day anyway. So it's just sitting there getting wasted because we don't have materials anyways. Now, here's the other reason why smoothies turn a less profit. Because here's the thing. In order to make a smoothie, you have to make a shovel. And in order to make a shovel, you have to make metal, wood, and plastic. Then you make a shovel. So now you are cutting into your hardware production. And if you follow our guide, that means that if you were to look at the fashion store, the highest profitable item is the caps. So what we have our production plan written up for is 980 minutes on tape and 980 minutes on hammers, which means you're going to be able to make chairs in the furniture shop with your hammers and make caps in the fashion shop with your tape measures. But you're unable to do that now because now you have to make shovels for saps, to make melons, to make veggies, to make smoothies. So you've just lost money in your fashion store. You've lost money in your furniture store. You've lost money in your hardware store. You've lost money in your barn because you don't have the flour. You're losing money on donuts. And you're also losing money. If you're a higher level player, you're losing money in the fast food store because you're unable to make pink drinks. So all around, smoothies turn a way less profit than flour and donuts. So the issue is that people, when they want their specific answer as to what to make and why, they are kind of confused as to how to read these guides. And I don't blame you because it takes a lot more effort than just looking at this guide and saying, okay, look, this is the highest per minute value, so that's what I'm going to make. It is not that simple. Nowhere near that simple, especially when you want to be able to run each and every shop available. So what ends up happening is people look for a simple answer and they get handed a very complex chart and they're unable to kind of work through it. And so what people do psychologically, a lot of people make the same mistakes. They either think that because the item's priced the highest, it turns the highest profit. They think that because it takes the longest, they should make it at nighttime. They think that because it sells the fastest means it's the better items to make. All three of those things are wrong, okay? A burger can sell for a shit ton of money, what is it, 3,620? It's the highest price item in the game, and it can turn a very low profit. Now, the reason burgers turn a low profit is because you have to make spatulas, and so when you do that, you're cutting out your furniture store and your fashion store. That now you're cutting into your TV production because now you have to make barbecues. Then you cut into the real big thing is the barn, because the fast food shop requires every single item in the fast food store requires an item from the barn. So if you were to make a burger, you would have to make feed, you would have to make beef, you would have to make cream, you would have to make flour. Okay, so just to make one burger, you got to make a beef, two flour, a cream, a bread roll. So you've cut into your donut production, your flour production, your caps production, your hammer production, your chair production, your tape production, and your appliance store. So yeah. Also your garden store, because now you're unable to make shovels at night because you're making spatulas. So it cuts into every shop, really. So don't make burgers. They're a waste of time. So when we decided to make this guide, we sat down and we cross-checked every single shop, every single variation. And it took us, quite some time, yes. And it was a pain in the ass, yes. But here's the thing. If you're looking at what item to make, you have to take into consideration, if you choose to make something in one area, how much you're losing in another. And you have to kind of go through every shop and say, okay, I'm gonna make sacrifices in every shop. You're better off losing a little money here and there and running every shop as best you can than you are making one specific item. So if you guys are broke, it's either that you're making the wrong items, you're spending in places where you shouldn't, like doing these flights or doing shipments or making the wrong items or whatever. So what ends up happening, the biggest problem that people have is keeping a steady flow of production. So when I ask people, what's your production plan look like? They every single person is like, oh, well, I make this and I make that and I make whatever I have the materials for whenever I have them and whatever. It's like, well, that's why you're broke. This is a very strategic game, and you have to be very strategic with your planning. You need to have your factory set to run this, this, and this for this, this, and this. You need to have your shops running this during the day and this at night. And every shop needs to be meticulously thought out. Now, we did the work for you guys because everybody's always asked for a production plan. They want to know what to make, why to make it, when to make it, how to make it. That's all they want to know. They don't want to be handed a chart of a bunch of numbers for them to do the work. That's not the answer you guys are looking for. So that's what we did. And if you were to go on Google, and I did that earlier today because I've never actually looked this up, and type best items to make on SimCity Build It or highest profit items on SimCity Build It. And you look at these websites, people, the shit that they say is ridiculous, dude. They tell you, oh, make ice creams. Well, yeah, ice cream is a great thing to make, but not if you have to make the bread rolls and the cream. You lose money. So there's certain items that you want to make based off what you can make. Then there's certain items you want to make based off what you can purchase. But if I was to write up a guide that said, well, you know what? Smoothies turn a higher profit than donuts. But I don't have enough melons and I can't produce enough melons to run that shop full time. But if I can buy the melons, then I can make more money making smoothies. But anybody who plays the game knows that you don't come across melons very often. So it's not realistic. If I was to write that up, you'd be like, well, that does me no good. I can't make 40 smoothies in a day because I'm not going to find 40 melons on the global market. So unless you know the algorithm of the game, you're not really going to be able to look at that chart with any accuracy. So for you lower level players that have never had a high level city, you guys are unaware of which items are easily obtained on the global market and which ones are not. And it's going to play a huge factor in how you make your money. Now, I told you guys earlier that I was going to talk to you guys about another instance or scenario. So this scenario, a level 18 player. You guys have melons unlocked, but you have nothing besides a smoothie that makes them. So here's the deal. You guys can make veggies, flour, and melons at your level, at a level 18. So what people do, and a lot of people do this, when they set up their nighttime run, they set up the high time items, so the ones that take the longest, because they're going to be sleeping, and their thought process is, I want to keep my shop running for as long as possible. That way it's not doing nothing while I sleep, which normally would be the better way to go, because it's just going to be sitting there anyways. But here's the thing. At level 18, if you only have flour, veggies, and melons, at a level 18 player, you make melons every 90 minutes, and then you make flour every 30 minutes. So if you were to have all 11 production slots unlocked for a level 18 player at 30 minutes for flour, you would total it out to 5 hours and 30 minutes. Okay? Now, most people are like, well, I don't want my barn to just be doing nothing for 2.5 hours while I sleep. So what they do is they say, well, fuck it. I'm going to make melons at 90 minutes a melon, right? And some of them put up all 11. But some of them only put up about 8 hours worth of melons. So now they're running 8 hours worth of melons versus running 5.5 hours worth of flour. Now, so far, everybody's probably like, yeah, that's probably the best thing to do. No, it's not, because here's what's going to happen. Okay? When you guys sell, when you wake up in the morning and you collect your shops, hypothetically speaking, let's say I was the person that decided to make the flour, and you were the person that decided to make the smoothies. We both went to bed, and we both closed our game for 8 hours, okay? And we both woke up, and let's say you collected 8 hours worth of smoothies. Okay. 8 hours worth of smoothies, if you were to take them at 90 minutes per smoothie. Okay, so 8 hours is 480 minutes. And you were to divide that by 90 minutes of melon, that's 5.33. So that's 5 melons every, hang on. Yeah, that's 5 melons in your 8-hour time frame. Okay, so when you wake up, you're collecting 5 melons in the morning, and I'm collecting my 11 flour because it took my flour five hours. Now you're going to wake up and you're going to sell those 5 melons. You're going to multiply them by $730 a piece, and you're going to get a total of $3,650. That's what you get. Okay. Now me, I decided to make 11 flour times $570 a bag, and I get $6,270 for the flour. But a level 18 player, so already I've made $6,270, subtracting your amount to see what the difference is. I gained $2,620 more by doing that than that. So if I would have made the melons, I would have had $3,650, but I didn't, so now I got $6,270. Now, here's the thing. This is an example of what not to do. So what you need to do is determine what items you can end up with in the morning run and how long they're going to take. Now, once you go past level 18 and you unlock pink drinks, this is going to change. Okay? So when you unlock pink drinks, you're actually going to make melons at night in your barn, and you're going to make 6 melons. Okay? Because you're going to be able to make them in 72 minutes. So 6 times 72 minutes is 432. Okay? So these 6 melons that you made at night, you're going to take them over to your fast food shop and you're going to make pink drinks out of them because you're a higher level. And the pink drinks, taking 6 melons and turning them into pink drinks, turns a higher profit than the 11 flour. So that is why you are going to do that for your high level players. That's why it changes. So there's many of these variables to consider whenever you guys decide what items you're going to be making. That is basically what we did there in what we put together. And in our charts, we basically go through, you know, okay, well, this is the best item you can make with the items produced. And this is the best items you can make with the items purchased. But when we did the purchased items, we did realistic purchases. We didn't say, well, you know, yeah, you can make $3 million a day making this, but you'll never find the materials for it. So what would be the point in telling you that? So we didn't do that. So for those of you who are making items that sell the fastest, sell for the most money, doesn't mean the most profit. Selling the quickest doesn't do you any good. Now, here's the thing about that. People say, well, I want to sell fast because I'm broke. Well, here's the thing. If you were doing your shit right and you were doing it correctly, okay, you wouldn't have to sell it quick to get money because you would have money. So you'd be able to go over to your depot and you'd be able to put something up and you would be able to let it sit there unadvertised and get purchased by Daniel in a couple of days. Or you can advertise it when you go to sleep, and then hopefully by morning, the global stuff is gone. And if it's not, then after, 12 hours of advertising, it's going to go back to not being advertised. So don't do that. It's not worth it. I don't know why. Like I said, it's a lot of people do that. So basically, that is going to end this particular, well, let me see. Yeah, that's going to end this part of the video. But I mean, you guys have to get strict on your production plans. And like I said, I have copies of the production plan that we put together. If you guys are needing a copy, you can. It's on my Facebook page. It's public. It's on our Discord. And it's also available if you put your email in the comments, I can email it to you if you are unable to get on Discord or Facebook. So if you comment on this video and say, can you email me a copy of the production plan, and put your email there, then I can do that for you. That being said, I am going to go ahead and end this video and get the other one out about commonly asked questions or mistakes.